your hand if everybody like you. No, you got a serious, if everyone likes you, you got a problem. I remember a story that a friend of mine told me, this was years ago, but it makes a profound statement. He told me about a job that he used to work on. And on this job, they were downsizing, laying off, having cutbacks and so forth. And so the boss, the supervisor, came to him one day and said to him that we have a problem. Well, he thought that the supervisor was coming to him to lay him off, to tell him, give him his pink slip and let him know that we're going to have to let you go. But the supervisor said, we got a problem. And he said, the problem that we have is that everybody on the job seemed to like you. So he said, he began to chuckle because he thought it was a joke. He thought the guy was being funny. But he soon found out that the supervisor was not being funny. He was serious. He said, everybody on the job likes you. And he said, well, I don't understand. He said, well, if everybody on the job likes you, that is an indication to me as your supervisor, you're not doing your job. If everybody liked you. Now, you got to understand what his job was. His job was, he was the guy that was at a position at a place that when the men left out, they would leave the tools. In other words, on the job. They were not allowed to, or they were not supposed to take the tools off the job and take them home with them and do their little work at home and then bring them back or what have you. So he was the guy that made sure that the tools were left in the plant or on the job site. And so the supervisor just kind of did a little somewhat deductive reasoning. If everybody liked you, that means that you're not doing what you're supposed to do. You're letting a lot of these men take tools out of here to go home to do what they need to do. Of course, they bring them back, but they're not allowed to. They're not supposed to take the tools off the job site. And so he said this. He said, so given enough time, and I don't know how much time transpired, he said the supervisor came back to me and said this to me. He said, now you're doing your job. And he knew where he was going then. He said, because they don't like you. Most of the people are complaining about you. They're saying things about you. Why? Because you're doing your job. Because you're doing your job. And for me personally, that right there in itself have really helped me through some challenging times. Amen. When people talk about you and they say things about you and so forth, look, I sleep real good at night.